welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. So today I'm going to be inviting you guys into my kitchen as I make my freezer meals for the week. I hope you're going to enjoy the video. Also, don't forget to support me by liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. Your girl is now on the road to 2,000 subscribers, and I know you guys are gonna make it happen. So guys, welcome to my kitchen. Today's batch cooking video, I'll be cooking masoor, butter beans, yellow beans. This is beef. It's frozen, so I'll let it thaw out as I cook the rest. And then this is also frozen mincemeat. I'll also let it thaw first. And then for the spices today, I'll be using turmeric, curry powder, paprika, garam masala, beef royco cubes, and then this is beef royco. And then I also have tomatoes, I have onions, ginger, and garlic. I'll also be using dhania. This one is turning yellow because I got them a few days ago. So yeah, I didn't store them the way they're supposed to be stored in the fridge. So that's why they're actually turning yellow. But I have this. This is enough. These are 2 bunches of dhania. Yeah, so for today, this is all I'll be cooking. And then we also have vegetables, which I'm going to start with because I've already prepared them. Now, this is a mixture of managu, sukuma wiki, got some spinach in here, and I also have some canthera, all washed and chopped up. So I'm going to heat up some oil so that we can already start frying the vegetables. And I'll start with frying the onions. I don't like my onions looking all brown and black in my food, so I always just let them get translucent a bit, and then I place my vegetables. And I'm using a huge cooking pot because, of course, the vegetables as they are very bulky, but soon enough after I have covered it, they're going to steam up and they're going to reduce in size. So a huge cooking pot is always a good thing while batch cooking. So I have a friend who once asked me why I prefer freezer meals to freshly cooked meals, and these are some of the reasons I gave her, and I'll be dropping them one by one as the videos go by. So yeah, I'm adding some salt, and this is beef royco cubes crushed, and I have some royco powder as well. So I mix them and just pour them into the vegetables and then mix it up. And then I'm going to let the vegetables cook just a little bit longer because I still want them crunchy, and I'll definitely need to reheat them when I'm ready to consume it. I'm such a lover of onions, and it's so evident in all my foods. And yeah, I think the only thing I need to work on is the size, but otherwise they're gonna blend in the vegetable soup. Up next, I'm going to be cooking the yellow beans, which are one of my favorite meals. I love beans and rice. It's one of my favorite meals. So I'll quickly wash them and then boil them as we quickly go through the second reason why I prefer freezer meals. So my second reason is that it saves me time. Having readily available home-cooked meals gives me time to utilize my precious time on other things. Imagine all you have to do is serve and then pop it into a microwave and you're done. As simple as that. So for the beans, all I have to do is cook some rice, which takes me at least 10 minutes tops. I'm going to be using my pressure cooker to boil the beans, and it takes around 35 to 40 minutes to boil this amount. So I'm using hot water so that it can be a faster process. I also add a piece of peeled carrot just to absorb all the bad gases. I don't know the chemistry behind this, but that is what I know. It helps to reduce all the bad gases that bloat our tummies when we eat beans. Now, let's get to my reason number 3 of having freezer meals. I I always get to have a variety of meals to choose from all throughout the week despite being busy to cook some of these meals. Imagine having to start boiling beans at 9:30 p.m. because that's the time sometimes I get to arrive home on busy days. Plus, there are just days when you're suffering from burnout and you're not able to do anything, like you are in some sort of a coma. Or, guys, being human beings, you could just wake up one day and feel so lazy to do anything. So, on such days, I am assured of having food to keep me nourished and energized throughout the day. And also, it helps to reduce the temptations of ordering food every now and then. And now I'm just prepping these ingredients. I love blending my ginger, garlic, and tomatoes together. By doing this, I'm assured of getting thick soup for the beans, and also all the aroma that comes from garlic and ginger is totally utilized when you blend them. Now, I know someone would love to ask me if it's healthy. Is it healthy to have freezer meals on the daily? I would like to believe so. I mean, it's not like I'm using any preservatives or chemicals to store them, to keep them for long. I'm simply freezing them for a week or so. It's a simple freeze. And if the lights go off in between there, then there are other ways or factors I consider before deciding if the food is unsafe, of which it has never actually happened to me. I thank God I am blessed to have a good fridge with a good freezer that keeps my food cool for more than 9 hours. Actually, it keeps my food frozen for 9 hours in the freezer, and the fridge area also stays cool for longer. So by the time we're even clocking all those hours, I would have known and taken the correct measures to preserve the food. And, everything turns out okay at the end of the day. So I've added salt, curry powder, turmeric, and paprika in this mixture. I've also added some beef cubes. Every time I'm making this tomato paste, I always wait out until the oil separates from the tomato and the oil runs freely. So now I add my beans and we are done with this piece of carrot. It has done its job, so you take it out and let the beans cook. Always add in hot water so that the temperatures remain the same. So I cover and then I let it cook. Up next is the butter beans, and I'm going to wash them thoroughly. I normally rinse them twice before I boil them. And I'm also going to use my pressure cooker to boil these butter beans. So this will take another 35 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I'll start blending the tomatoes, ginger, and garlic so that we can cook the mincemeat. And I had a little accident with the blend over there. So the screen is a bit blurred over here because I didn't realize that I had small drops of the tomato paste on my camera, but it's gonna wear off quite soon. I start off by breaking the mincemeat into smaller pieces because it's not all thawed out. And I just place it in my stainless steel pan so that can absorb all the heat and just break into smaller pieces before we start cooking. Once it has softened in its own juice, I add some oil and coriander stalks. I love cooking with coriander stalks, and I'm also using the white sweet onion I'm not so sure if that's the name, but yeah, I'm going to be using the white onion and cook until it's a little bit brown. Then add the tomato paste that we just blended. So once again, I'm going to let it cook until the oil separates from the tomato paste and the tomatoes take their natural red color. So add paprika, curry powder, some garam masala, 2 beef cubes, and some salt. So we're going to be adding some water from the blender jug which had just blended the tomatoes, and then add some lemon juice just to make it a little bit more flavorful. By now the butter beans are ready to fry, and in hot oil we're going to add some onions, tomato paste, which is the garlic, ginger and tomato mixture, all blended. We're going to add Royco powder, some paprika, and some curry powder. Then I'm also going to add some beef masala, and this is Royco cubes. Of course, we're going to add some salt to taste, and yeah, cook until the oil separates from the tomato paste before we add our butter beans, which has boiled and softened so nicely. I also think getting an electric pressure cooker was one of the most functional investments I ever made in my kitchen, because this will normally take around 1 hour to boil, or even 1.5 hours, and it only took me like 30 minutes, which is so efficient. So lastly, I added the coriander leaves and cooked until it was well cooked. So up next, I'm going to be cooking the meat, and this is going to be easy peasy because I'm going to be cooking it in the pressure cooker. So of course, first things first, wash the meat thoroughly. And then I'm going to place them in the pressure cooker to boil soft. So just because I do freezer meals, that does not mean that I have to entirely stick to this menu. Of course, I have the liberty to deviate from the menu, but I always try as much as possible to have the meals that are as healthy as possible. Except of course on days when I'm having, cheat meals or self-care days, when I have the option of having some happy meals, quote unquote. So whenever I'm boiling meat using my electric pressure cooker, I always make sure I add in just a little bit of oil, so that if the water dries up before the time clocks and I'm not aware, the oil is gonna start, the process of cooking, and it's gonna save the meat from burning. So I'm just prepping as the meat is boiling, cutting onions, blending tomatoes, and all the ingredients that I'm going to use. And I also used garlic, ginger, and tomato paste, all blended. So as soon as the meat was all boiled, and you can see that it formed a very nice broth. Yeah. So I'm going to transfer the broth into another container, because I'm still going to use it for the stew. So we add some oil, and now we are going to cook the meat. Add the tomatoes, cook a little bit until they start browning. And then I add the tomato paste and once again I let it cook. Let it cook until the oil separates from the tomato paste before I start adding the spices, which is beef masala, paprika, curry powder, and some turmeric. I also added the beef cubes before I came back with the broth. So of course I covered and let it cook a bit before I added the coriander leaves, and voila, we are now done the batch cooking. So we have the butter beans over here. Over here we have the yellow beans. Yellow beans, both are yellow beans. And we have some beef stew over here. And this is the mincemeat. And then I have my vegetables over here. So for this one, I have creamed it. That's why it looks creamy. I've added some cream to it. So yeah, so this is the food of the week. Also, earlier on, I had made some chapos, and I just made a few, and these are going to help me both for breakfast and for dinner. So yeah, chapos are also in the menu. For the rest of the accompaniments, ugali, pasta, rice, and others, I'll be cooking them on impulse, depending on what I'll be eating on which day. So I let the food cool before covering them and placing them in the fridge.